You're listening to the Timeout Show on AM and FM WCSR. A couple of comments on the Facebook page, Timeout with Andy Brown on Facebook.com. Tyler Conrad writes in, guys, how do you think the Lions are going to use rookie Ryan Broyles? He's the kid from Oklahoma. I think every draft choice the Lions made was from Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken. Will they use Ryan Broyles? How will they use him with Titus as our number 3 receiver? What role do you think this Broyles kid will end up having? I have no idea. If Titus Young keeps his nose clean, continues to progress from what we saw last year. Titus Young's pretty good. He had a good rookie season. He had a touchdown stolen away from him against Green Bay that I'll never forgive. Where will Ryan Broyles fit in? It depends how good he is. If he's healthy, if his Achilles is healed up and he's good, I think he could see some time in the slot.
Especially on first and second down plays, I'm guessing. And once Jim Schwartz starts getting a little bit more confidence in him, maybe you could see him on third down plays. Maybe some second and short plays. I mean, it just kind of depends on if he stays healthy and what they kind of get out of him.
I don't think they drafted Ryan Broyles for the 2012 football season.
No.
I think they're looking at Nate Burleson being 32 years old, 31 years old. Maybe a couple of productive years left, but he could fit into that role later on in his career and not necessarily have to worry about being a big-time producer this year.
Which is why I think the first year or two he's around, he'll be returning kicks and punts. So.
Which would be fine.
And it's not like they go 4 wide very often. With Pettigrew and Scheffler, you don't need to put him in there and go 4 wide. It's not a Schwartz-style offense.
All right, guys, I wanted to debate this topic. It's a topic that I brought up a couple of months ago, and now we're approaching the All-Star break. It's still a couple of weeks away. I made the argument, I believe in March, that the Tigers would have been better served instead of giving Prince Fielder 9 years, $214 million, one of the biggest contracts in the history of professional sports, to use that money to actually address some of their more pressing needs, like middle infield, for instance. I suggested, why didn't they break off some of that money and go after a Jose Reyes? Now, that's revisionist history. The reason they gave Fielder all that money was because after Reyes was already signed with the Marlins, Victor Martinez got hurt, right? Mm-hmm. But let's just, for the sake of debate, let's talk about Jose Reyes versus Prince Fielder and who you'd rather have. Can we do that for a minute? Let me give you some numbers, then I'll get your thoughts. So far this year, Prince Fielder, for your Detroit Tigers, making $214 million over 9 years. By the way, Reyes making $106 million over 6 years for the Miami Marlins. Prince Fielder is currently batting .315. He has 10 home runs, 44 RBIs. His 44 RBIs put him in the top 10 in the American League in RBIs. He is currently fielding at a .987 clip. That's his fielding percentage at first base. He has 7 errors on the season. Okay? He has 0 stolen bases. Let me look. Maybe he does have 1 stolen base.
He does hustle, though, on the base paths.
Yeah,
I beg your pardon. He does have a stolen base. All right, let's look at Reyes' numbers, Rick. So far this year, he's batting .275. He has 2 home runs, 16 RBIs. He's stolen 16 bases. He has 7 errors at second base. His fielding percentage is .975, which is 12 points less than Prince Fielder's.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Now, he plays second base, which is a more difficult position than first base.
Also, do you have his on base? For somebody like him, that's kind of
the on-base percentage?
Well,
yeah. Because he's obviously not going to get you power.
Reyes' on-base percentage is .351. Okay. Fielder's on-base percentage so far this year is .392.
Okay. Thank you.
Discuss. What do you think?
You have to not just his on-field physical abilities. You've got to discuss the whole picture. He's a team leader. What does he do in the locker room? As MP said, he sets an example by hustling on every play. I've never seen him take a play off. His enthusiasm, he knows when he's made good contact. He's got that bat flip down now perfectly. It's fun to watch him. Boy, 9 years from now, who knows? But
Reyes is a couple years older than Prince Fielder, too, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
If not, I think they're very comparable, if not.
you follow a ton of baseball. You've got the package. You've probably seen Reyes more than I have. I've only seen some highlights. I have Reyes on my fantasy team. He's been a huge bust. I took him early on. Reyes is not having a great year this year for Miami. Last year, he was a batting champion for the Mets. He's been an impact player in his career. He's been a plus defender. He's been a stolen base leader. He's been a guy, like you said, to set the table, to get on base, and all the rest of it. Clearly, the Tigers could have used a second baseman. I don't think that's in dispute. Well, would they have been better off? I mean, they basically paid Fielder twice as much as the Miami Marlins paid Jose Reyes. Would they have been better off with Reyes?
I was under the impression he was playing short.
I think he is playing short.
Okay, over at short. My mistake.
Okay, even if he's at short, you move Peralta to second, whatever. Okay, we'll still play in this world. I'd take Fielder because Jose Reyes has had a ton of injury history, and if he's not getting on base and stealing, he's not going to give you that much. Fielder, he's a presence. He if you groove a pitch to Jose Reyes, he might hit a double or triple into the gap. You groove a pitch to Prince Fielder, it's going to go 500 feet. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the errors they're a wash to me. Fielder probably has less opportunity. I mean, most of his percentage is probably aided by the fact he gets a put out every time someone throws it to him. But I'll still take Fielder because he's been so durable. People complain about his body type, but it's worked for him. Reyes relatively hasn't.
Young baseball fan, Martin Peterson, you follow the game as closely as anybody I know. Reyes is, I don't want to, even though he's not having a good first half this year, he's been a superstar player. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this?
Well, if you had told me a couple months ago in Austin Jackson, I would have said we need a leadoff hitter and a second baseman. And with Cabrera playing first base, if you would have asked me which I thought would have been more reasonable, I probably would have said Reyes, but I think Jackson has done. I think this is the Austin Jackson that we will see for the next few years.
I hope so.
Don't let me jinx this. But,
he'll be a future All-Star if he keeps playing like this. He will make an All-Star game in the future.
But I still think you have to go with the better superstar. I mean, Fielder's going to hit 290. I mean, he's hitting higher this year. He's going to hit 290, 30 to 40 home runs, 100 plus RBIs. I mean, sometimes you just have to take that. No matter what. I mean, it's kind of like, in basketball, you have to take a player no matter what position they play and kind of work around it. If you have a superstar, you have to work around it. I think Fielder, is the bigger superstar between the two. I mean, Ryan said Reyes has had some injuries.
All throughout his career.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It was a good year. It was a great year last year for Reyes, but I don't see that happening consistently.
Real quickly, Greg Morgan writes the program. Guys, I've liked Prince since he was a little leaguer back in Grosse Pointe. He's a nice kid then. He's well-liked to this day. He's signed through 2020, but Verlander's contract expires after 2014. Cabrera's after 2015. How will the Tigers re-sign all of these guys and keep Prince on board? They're going to have to pick somebody. I think ultimately they're going to trade Cabrera, Greg Morgan says, and keep Prince Fielder. Castellanos coming up to play third. I've read Lynn Henning has said that before, that could be coming. The lineup for the Tigers tonight, Jackson in center. Quentin Berry goes 5 for 5. Pretty much earns another start in left field.
Yeah,
even for Jim Leland. And he got it tonight. Cabby will play third and bat third. Fielder will bat fourth. DY will DH tonight. Bosch, Peralta, Santiago, and Laird. Tigers taking on a St. Louis team. They lose Pujols. They're still competitive in the NL Central. Should be a pretty good series.
It should be. And as I was telling you guys a little bit earlier, this pitching matchup tonight, Lance Lynn for St. Louis versus JV for us. Folks, believe it or not, you got to take the Cardinals in this matchup.
Wins?
He's 10-2 with an ERA of less than 2.5.
This Lynn guy?
Lance Lynn. He's pretty much been untouchable all year, Andy. I have no doubt he'll be the starting pitcher for the National League in the All-Star game.
You're
looking at a 1-0.
All right, Dickie! Czachorski's demanding it.
Or 2-1 game.
Ryan Czachorski is the editor of the Hillsdale Daily News Sports section. My man Rick Arsenault is a charter member of the Time Out Show. Martin Peterson here as well tonight. Thanks to Dan Miller. Thanks to you for listening. Next week on the show, Brandon Jenkins from Jonesville High School. We'll talk to you next week on Time Out on WCSR.